Hello class. Today we will continue Chapter 4, Number Representation and Calculation, by looking at Section 4.4, looking back at early numeration systems. Our objectives today are to understand and use the Egyptian system, to understand and use the Roman system, to understand and use the traditional Chinese system, and to understand and use the Ionic Greek system. Now, the Egyptian numeration system. The Egyptians used the oldest numeration system called hieroglyphic notation. Now, you can see our Hindu-Arabic numeral here on the left-hand side, the Egyptian numeral in the middle column, and the description of that Egyptian numeral in the right-hand column. So our representation of 1 is a simple staff in Egyptian numerals. Our representation of 10 is a heel bone. The representation of 100 is a spiral. The representation of 1,000 is a lotus blossom. The representation of 10,000 is a pointing finger. The representation of 100,000 is a tadpole. And the representation of 1,000,000 is an astonished person. So, we want to write the following numeral as a Hindu-Arabic numeral. We can refer back to the chart if need be to help us work through this. But what we see here, working back, our astonished person is the 1,000,000. The pointing finger are two 10,000s. Our heel bone here, we have 3 of those represented the 10. And then we have the simple staff. We have 4 of those representing 1s. So if we break this number down based on our Hindu-Arabic system and add those numbers up, we get 1,000,000 plus 10,000 plus 10,000 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, which totals 1,020,034. Now let's try to go the other direction. We want to write 1,752 as an Egyptian numeral. First, we need to break down the Hindu-Arabic numeral, the 1,752, into quantities that match the Egyptian numerals. So we're going to break this 1,752 down into 4 segments. First, we're going to break it down into 1,000. We're also going to break down the 700 part, the 50 part, and the 2 part. Now, individualized here, the 1,000 is already broken down and can be represented by a single Egyptian numeral. However, the 700 needs to be represented by 7 individual 100s. The 10s, because we have 5 of those, need to be represented by 5 sets of 10s here. So let's write that in another color and underline it. And then we also have 2 1s that have to be represented by a symbol as well. And what we could see is we have our 1,000 here. We have our sets of 100 here. And we have 7 of those. We have our 10s, and we have 5 of those. And then we as well have our 2 1s. We can go back and we can check the technical way of describing this as well if we needed to, following our chart. So lotus blossom, 7 spirals, 5 heel bones, and 2 staffs. Now, I feel as if many people are probably at least semi-familiar with Roman numerals, because we use those most commonly to represent the Super Bowl number. And most people have had those at least covered once in elementary school or middle school. Now, the Roman numerals, represented by I, V, X, L, C, D, and M, represent 1, 5, 10, 50, 100, 500, and 1,000, respectively. The Roman numerals were used until the 18th century and are still commonly used today for outlining on clocks and in numbering some pages in books. If the symbols decrease in value from left to right, then add their values to obtain the Roman numeral as a whole. If the symbols increase in value from left to right, then we are going to subtract the symbol on the left from the symbol on the right to obtain the value of the Roman numeral as a whole. So, if we're looking here at our setup, you can tell that some of these Roman numerals are highlighted. These are values that can be subtracted or shown in red. I can be subtracted only from V and X. X can be subtracted only from L and C. And C can be subtracted only from D and M. So basically we can subtract I from values of 5 or 10, 10 from values of 50 or 100, or 100 from values of 500 or 1,000. We want to write CLXVII as a Hindu-Arabic numeral. Now, because the numerals decrease in value from left to right, we can add their values to find the value of the whole Roman numeral as a whole. So the C is the 100, the L is the 50, the X is the 10, the V is the 5, and then we add 2 ones for the II. And if we add these together, we see that this Roman numeral representation is 167 in our Hindu-Arabic numeral. Now we want to write MCMXCVI as a Hindu-Arabic numeral. The M represents the 1,000, but because the C, represented by 100, is smaller than the M and is written before the next M, it actually means that we need to subtract 100 from that 1,000. And because the X is before the C in this next set, we need to subtract the X from the C, the 10 from the 100. And then we have a simple V and an I, so 5 and a 1. So what we see here is we have 1,000 plus 1,000 minus 100 plus 100 minus 10 plus 5 plus 1. And if we break that down, we have 1,000 plus 900 plus 90 plus 5 plus 1, which equates to 1,996. Now let's look at the traditional Chinese numeration system. Now, we've got some dashes here and some caricatures representing numbers 1 through 1,000. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 100, and 1,000. So if we want to write 3,264 as a Chinese numeral, what we would need to do is we would need to look here at how to represent each of these. The 3,000 will be represented by the 3 dash here, and then the 1,000 will be represented by this caricature. The 2 with the 2 dash, the 100 by the 100 caricature here, the 6 by the 6 caricature, and the 10 by the 10 caricature, kind of looks like a cross, and the 4 by the square caricature down here at the bottom. This one is definitely beneficial if you refer back to the numeration chart that you will have access to if needed. Now, the ancient Greeks used letters from their alphabet for their numerals. The symbols are written right next to one another. So, this is the Ionic Greek numeration system, where 1 is represented by alpha, 2 represented by beta, 3 represented by gamma, 4 represented by delta, 5 represented by epsilon, 6 by val, 7 by zeta, 8 by eta, 9 by theta, 10 by iota, 20 by kappa, 30 by lambda, 40 by mu, 50 by nu, 60 by xi, 70 by omicron, 80 by pi, 90 by coph, 100 by rho, 200 by sigma, 300 by tau, 400 by upsilon, 500 by pi, 600 by chi, 700 by psi, 800 by omega, 900 by sin pi. And I'm not sure if I skipped the 10 there. The 10 was the iota. We want to write, given these symbols here, which you can refer back to the chart. So that W looking symbol, as we could tell, using our chart here, just referring back, is the psi. The lambda symbol here represents our 30. So we've got a representation of 730 so far. And then if we look at this other symbol here and try to match it, it looks to me to be a delta, which is a 4. So we have 734. All you do is add those numbers together, 700 plus 30 plus 4, and we get our 734, which is our Hindu Arabic numerals. This completes the end of lecture 4.4. Please take advantage of your lecture notes to help you with the homework. You can refer to those charts that we use this lecture. They will be especially helpful in breaking down some of these different types of numeration systems. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me. Work hard on your homework. If you have any problems, just let me know. Y'all have a good afternoon.